gentlemen, and welcome to our class on candlesticks. Now, today's class is our novice or our beginners or our explanation of candlesticks, because I felt it was very important that we talk about candlesticks in general, because too many traders mix up candlestick analysis with candlestick price recognition with candlestick charting. Okay, and there are three completely different fields of study, three completely different ways of using them, and they seem to get confused. Like your buddy will be saying, well, I'm using my candlesticks, but you don't understand, he's only looking at a candlestick chart. Okay, so candlesticks are a charting method, no more than that. Okay, where each candle represents the same as a bar does in a time frame. If we're looking at a 30-minute time frame, each candle is drawn on our charts every 30 minutes. We put a line across at the open, a line across at the close, put a dot at the highest point and a dot at the lowest point, and then we draw our lines together, connect our dots to our lines, and then we fill in the candle with a color depending in which way price action moved. If we step down the ladder, okay, that tells us that price was bearish. Today we color that candle in red. If we stepped up the ladder from the open to the close, we fill it in with green. And it's important that I explain to you the difference between reds and greens, not just what they mean. In the old days, okay, when we were all using candlesticks and charting by hand, we were using pencils and graph paper. Maybe the Chinese, even before that, were using rice paper and charcoal. But what we would do is when we draw the candlestick on our graph, okay, if it was a bullish candle, we just wouldn't fill in the body of the candle, because we didn't have magic markers, we didn't have computers, we didn't walk around with a packet full of magic markers. In fact, when I started trading, I don't think we had such a thing as magic markers. And if it was a bearish session, we would use the side of the pencil and color it in. And yes, when I started trading, we had colored pencils. And people hated carrying colored pencils in their pocket because they all had the points sticking up and you'd end up sticking yourself with them. But we're sitting there in a broker's pit watching a ticker tape, getting our prices and drawing everything by hand. And so black and white candles are just bullish and bearish. Today, that's been replaced with reds and greens. But there's some Forex brands that use their company colors. They'll use gold and blue. As long as you know which color is denoting bearish and which color is denoting bullish, you're perfectly fine. So the body of the candle is very important. So is the length of the wicks, because it tells us something about the market. Now, as you see here on this chart, we have black and white candles. And the reason I tell you the difference is because a lot of times you'll see candlestick patterns, like 3 black crows and three white soldiers. Well, today it would be 3 green soldiers, but we don't change the name of something that's been that way for a long time. A lot of times you get explanations using blacks and whites. So let's take a real quick look at a candlestick chart. We're going to go over to my Euro US dollar chart. Now this is my teaching chart. Okay, and what we're looking at is a candlestick chart. Come on, guys. Go away. I won't worry about it. So we're looking at a chart made up of reds and greens. We could, like I said, change our settings to be orange and purple, blue and white. As long as you know which colors you're using, it's perfectly fine. Okay. Now, that's a candlestick chart. Now what you see here, all these lines going across, are my support and resistance levels, because I'm a support and resistance and a chart pattern trader. I trade triangles like crazy. They are my favorite thing in trading, and I combine that with support and resistance, and I use a candlestick chart. I used to swear by bar charts, okay, because I could see things easier in bar charts. But today, our advanced HTML charts all let us do green and red bar charts instead of the old-fashioned black and white bar charts. So you can combine and do almost anything you want. But a bar chart is usually black. Okay, and this is a bar chart. Okay. And I swore by bar charts. The old days I didn't like candlesticks. Today, everything I trade is with candlesticks. And I love because I use them as a charting method. I use them to see and understand price. Like here, you can see where I had my sudden reversals, and you see them very clearly with a candlestick chart. And that gives me a level of support or resistance that I can draw on my chart to pull forward down the road. Okay, and I'm not using pattern recognition. I'm not using candlestick analysis at this point. I'm using simple candlestick charts. Okay, so when your buddy says to you, I'm using candlesticks, you need some clarifications. Or is he using candlestick charts? Or has he moved on to candlestick pattern recognition? Now, candlestick pattern recognition is what is primarily taught today. And this is a whole bunch of memorization of sizes and shapes of all kinds of candles, their positions, where they are in relationship to the pattern, the candlestick before and after them, but a certain pattern must appear. Okay. And this gets very confusing because what it does, it wants you to memorize things like the Marabuzu candle. Okay, and when you see it, there is a specific reaction you're supposed to have. Well, in our type of trading, and these candles don't really, they happen way too often, especially in short-term price trading, that you couldn't even keep track of these single candles. But a Marabuzu is a very powerful candle. Okay, and I tend to look at it if I see it, but I don't track candlestick patterns. But from there we go to, the problem is they all give you these characteristics. They tell you what you're supposed to do and what's supposed to be happening, which gets you in, number one, a lot of trouble. And number two, it makes you memorize. And all you're doing, instead of trading and making trading decisions, you're looking for specific things. You're looking for patterns like the spinning top or the doji. The doji and where it is in a trend. And it tells you, a doji that you see near a price channel, you're supposed to do this. Okay, anytime you do something that you're supposed to do and you're memorizing, isn't going to get you anywhere. You have long-legged dojis, short dojis, you have dragonfly dojis, gravestone dojis. There's a doji for everything. But then we go from single candlesticks to positions and patterns. We have star patterns. Okay, star positions. Star position really doesn't happen in Forex. It used to happen more in the stock market. But you have things like shooting stars and inverted hammers and hangman. And you have to memorize all of these things. And when this happens, that, and when the three candles are doing that, and this one's equal to that, then you're supposed to do that. Well, this is called candlestick pattern recognition. Okay. We have our Ramis. We have dojis, we have hangmen, three white soldiers, three black crows, we have Marabuzus, we have, we just go on forever. So we have things like morning stars, evening stars, three white soldiers, three black crows, three inside up, three inside. That's not a way of trading. It's like when somebody teaches, remember when they tried, I don't know how many of you took a foreign language in high school, but they would show you a picture of a cat and say, that's cat. And then they tell you what it was in French. And you'd have to memorize. But memorizing all that never taught you to speak French. So when I graduated after 3 years of French, I couldn't speak it. I could tell you what every word in the dictionary was. But I had never built the vocabulary because it never flowed. I was just spitting out words. So if you're going to do pattern recognition, there's 16 very important shapes you have to learn to recognize all the time. And there's lists that go on and on and on and on and on forever. Now, fortunately, today our charting methods, or our modern HTML or Java charts, have made this a little bit easier, because like I can go up here and just click on all patterns, all candlestick patterns, and tell the computer just to find them for me, and they put them right on my part. So here I have a bearish engulfing, I have another bearish, here I have a doji, okay, and it tells you, because it's just like telling you like to memorize. At the end of a given downtrend, there will most likely be a reversal pattern. To distinguish the first day, this candlestick pattern uses a small body followed by where the candles, it goes and then tells you what you're supposed to do. Well, I don't need to be weighed down with these. And to be honest with you, if you wanted to recognize them all, you could spend forever. Look at all these patterns. And if these are all on your chart, you could click them all to be on your chart. You could get absolutely lost. And today, like I said, it makes it easy. They can put it on the chart. But then from here we go to using candlestick analysis, or candlesticks for price analysis. Now, candlesticks can help you see important price movement or price action on charts. It can help you find swing highs and swing lows. It can help you define levels of support and resistance. It can let you know when important patterns are happening on your chart, because you can use price analysis. Like when I teach my indecision candle pattern, it doesn't matter whether it's a doji, it doesn't, we're looking for what we call an indecision candle. An indecision candle's got a small body, but it must appear like it did right here, directly on a level of resistance. So when you have an uptrend, you get a small body candle right on that level of resistance, you're going to get a reversal trade that you can make. And you could have taken this nice little trade. Now, like for here, we bounced off that level, but we never got that indecision candle. Okay, an indecision candle is a small body candle that appears at the level of support and resistance of after a specific trend. I'm sorry, I lost my concentration here. So there are ways, there's all types of ways that we can use candlesticks other than pattern recognition or just using a chart. Like you see all over my chart here, I've got all kinds of things using candles to help me see price action or help me to analyze what the market is trying to tell me. Now, these are the three different main uses of candles. You can decide how you want to. You can use candlestick charts, you use candlestick price analysis, or you can use candlestick pattern recognition. But I felt it was important to share with the class the differences, because everybody seems to think, oh, I'm using candlestick charts. When I see lots of red, I should be selling. When I see lots of green, I should be buying. That's not true. But then they get into pattern recognition. They think that's all that candles are about, and they try to memorize all these patterns. I want you to understand that you have many different choices. I use candlestick charts. Okay, so that's how I'm using it. And then I use candlestick price analysis, but I never use pattern recognition, except I know the most common patterns and I keep my eye open for them. Okay, so understand and realize today there's scanners that'll scan the markets to let you know. Investing.com's got a candlestick pattern recognition software on their it's free on their website. TradingView, as you saw, you can set it all up here. You have lots and lots of choices today, so keep that in mind. And then we have lots of advanced classes. We have a 3-class course on candlestick pattern recognition. We have many different strategies and different classes on indecision candles, candlestick and support and resistance, how to trade with this pattern, how to trade that analysis, how to understand, and they are individual classes. So you can go through the YouTube channel and find the classes once you understand the difference in where you want to be. So thank you very much for joining us today, and please enjoy the rest of my classes. Have a great trading day, and thanks for joining us.